All right, let's talk about the number one thing for this particular session. Privacy Act, ethnics. Each state who allows individuals to capture fingerprinting, you have guidelines you should be aware of. Maybe not through that particular state, perhaps the agency you fingerprint on behalf of, i.e. like the FBI. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you read the Privacy Act behind a LiveScan form, or the ones that was sent to you through some type of entity requiring you to fingerprint somebody? Have you really paid attention to it? Better yet, do you have a Privacy Act on your website? Do you need one? Should you get one? The question should be is, why don't you have one? And the same thing about ethics. All right? Companies out there expect us who capture fingerprints for the community need to adhere to guidelines. And there are guidelines out there. Now, just because you weren't told about certain guidelines you should adhere to, can't get you out of trouble. You're still responsible. I'm going to share some best practices with you, and maybe some agencies out there may have some guidelines you need to follow also, but some might have something like a best practice or a recommendation or something to go by. And one thing is LiveScan forms. If you're in a location that captures live scans for a state entity or a government entity, what do you do to LiveScan forms? If you're in Florida and they come to a LiveScan form, do you keep the LiveScan form on file? If you're in Illinois, would you keep the LiveScan form on file? What if you're in California? Are you required to keep a LiveScan on file? And if any states do apply, how long do you keep them on file? Because this is their private information. How do you keep the information on file? If the person wants a copy of the LiveScan form a year later on or a year and a half later on, do you give it to them? Do you keep it that long? These are things you need to know. For example, in California, for California LiveScan, you are required to keep the LiveScan form on file for 1 year. Then after 1 year, you destroy it. How do you destroy it? Do you just ball up and throw it away? Do you shred it? If so, how are you going to shred it? There's different types of shredders out there. Is it just strips? Or is it confetti? What you going to do? And if you do store LiveScans on file, how are you going to keep them secured? Who will have access to these files? What if the employer calls you and says, hey, Willie Lunchmeat used to work with us 3 months ago, but we still need a copy of his LiveScan paperwork, and we think you were the person who fingerprinted because we sent them to you like we do all the time. Do you give a copy of the LiveScan form? Things you should think about, things you should know. If you don't know, you're in trouble already. People want you to be ethical, put practices in place, and adhere to them. And they expect you to do that. If you don't protect the information, you are liable. Well, it wasn't me. It was the person who I hired. You are liable. Okay? You are liable. If and buts, you are liable. Now, employment process. When you get to the point, which we encourage you should, start hiring people to assist your business, your organization in fingerprinting, what policies and procedures are you going to put in place? Think about that for a second. Are you going to do a background check on those folks who's going to fingerprint somebody for a background check? Are you allowed to do a background check on the person you're going to hire to fingerprint for a background check? And if you are going to do a background check, what process are you going to use? Is it going to be a name check? Is it going to be a live scan? What type of live scan are you going to use? Are you allowed to do a live scan on the person you're going to hire to do live scans for your business? Are you allowed to do a live scan background check on the person you're going to hire to do in-car fingerprinting? And if you think you can, what live scan form are you going to use? What ORI number are you going to use? Well, I'm going to use one called a personal record review. That's a catch-all. Well, sometimes that may not apply for every state. And there's certain states out there where it's a misdemeanor to do a live scan if you're not approved to do it for that particular reason. Be careful. Don't get yourself in trouble. In California, just for example, all those who fingerprint California go into the process of the Department of Justice for California, not the Department of Justice for the FBI, the DOJ for California, require individuals to do a background check to get their certification, their permission slip to fingerprint in California. So you folks may have a little loophole out the way. Well, okay, I don't have to do a background check, but for them to work with us to fingerprint, the state requires a background check. Okay, I can see that. I get that, which is state and federal too. But there's some companies out there may come to you and say, hey, I'm starting up a cake business. We're going to sell cakes on the sidewalk to everybody. And I want all my employees to do a background check. Can you do it for us? Most likely not, unless they're approved by the state entity or they fall up in a certain category where there's an ORI number that applies to a particular situation. You might be able to do a live scan. Now, there are other background checks out there that's not required by the state, but you may have advantage to doing. Something like a name check. There's companies out there, they may do name checks for certain companies, certain organizations. Certain agencies like the staffing agencies do name checks all the time. There's different type of background checks out there. So just be aware what you recommend or you might want to try to do for your customer is make sure you do the right one without getting in trouble. Because you get the wrong one a different way, you are in trouble. You might be breaking the law. So when you bring people on board for employment practices, put the guideline into place, do what you can to have some type of background check, even just a name check. But don't force them to do a live scan unless you're approved by your state or there's a certain code to do a live scan on the individual. Okay then? And make sure if they are vetted by you, that you have some type of protocols, some type of adherence, some type of SOP, what we call in the military, standard operations procedures manual, to go by and adhere to it. If you don't tell them things they need to know, you're responsible. Period. Now, just because you have a nice, solid, streamlined process doing fingerprinting for your organization, and as your organization, I don't say business, trying to get the mindset, organization, doesn't mean another person down the block, down the street, within the inside in some place in the city are just as good as you are. And you might be careful sometimes if you want to partner up with them for certain projects. I'm trying to say is, in other words, just because a person has a live scan business just like yours, I mean, they're astute as you are. They may be crooks. There are crooks out there. And they're offended because I'm saying it, that's just too bad. Don't work with them. So when you refer people to other locations that you can't service, or you're trying to team with certain organizations to do some type of large project, make sure you do your homework. You make sure you could trust them, and make sure they ain't trying to steal your business, because some of them will. All right? So you have to make sure that when you work with other live scan providers, other fingerprint providers, or you want to team up with them, or try and get some knowledge from them because you don't know the right answer, be careful. Because they may give you the incorrect answer. You could get in trouble. You can't blame them. Say, hey, I wasn't sure. I didn't say that. You misunderstood me. So just be careful. In other words, when you try to get your answers answered, your best bet first is contact the state agency who may have the answers for your particular question. You may try to get questions. You will get questions from your customers you may not know the answer to. And you try to research all this information on behalf of your customer, and you give them the right information based on what you told them, what they told you, but it's incorrect information because they told you the wrong thing or you misunderstood them. All right? So just be careful. You have to really make sure you know your work, make sure who you choose to get your answers from or team up with, know what they're talking about. All right? Just want to just be careful. Sometimes you don't want to outsource work to other locations because they may screw up, and the company who you referred over there may hold you liable for giving incomplete information or a bad lead. It happens all the time. Now, let's just step back for a second here and talk about this a little bit more. On a side note, customers, they will call you sometime and try to convince you that they came to your location for fingerprinting in January. They will fuss at you because you don't have their information on file. They will blame you because all of a sudden now they lost their paperwork and there is now March and you can't give it to them. They're going to tell you who they were fingerprinted. You know good and well that person who they described don't work with you. So just make sure you slow your roll, talk to customers the best you can, but try not to take it personal because all they know is what they know at that time. Because people do forget, they get locations mixed up. And I'm sure it's what you hear because this happened today. They describe our location as a short Latino person. Now fingerprinted them. It's a guy on a certain date in January. And this guy wants this FBI report information. He wants me to give him his ATI number for a personal record review for FBI report. And the description he gave was wrong. He wasn't in that database. He couldn't tell us what credit card he used, but yet he's blaming us. It happens like that. All right. So perhaps it was a different location that went to, but wasn't as wish I think it was anyway. Enough of that side note right there. Just it's going to happen. Keep your notes in order. Keep track who comes to your location. Have a database who came to your location. Have a database what service they received. Have a database who fingerprinted them. Have a database how many ink cards they got done. Have a database method of payment. Have a database if it's the LiveScan, the ORI number. I could go on and on and on. You should keep track of all that for every single customer comes to you. Every single one. Their name, at least a way of contacting, at least where you could contact them if something goes sideways. And also keep track, if you have more than one LiveScan device, which LiveScan device was used when you capture the fingerprints. All right? It's a reason for that. Let's talk back into policies and procedures. What I just shared with you just right now should be part of your policies and procedures. All right. Certain states will require you to have certain information for each LiveScan for that particular state. Certain states may require you to keep a log who came in for fingerprinting. And if they don't require it, you should have one anyway. The electronic log is fine who came in. Have them sign a piece of paper that came in that particular, that's fine. But you need to keep track of various information who comes to your location. All right. Another thing is, reason for having a policy procedure, it reduces errors. You put things in place where just in case there's more than one person at your office, have a second set of eyes to double check the LiveScan data before you hit submit. Have a second set of eyes to look at your ink card if you're not sure. But don't try to review the ink card from the other person. It lowers your position of authority because now all of a sudden now you act like you know what you're doing. Keep that in mind too. Have policies and procedures put in place about people coming to you, time of arrival, things you require from them, what type of ID would you accept, What type of documents would you accept in lieu of a state ID? If they come to you with that no picture ID, what policy and procedures would you do to fingerprint them? Or can you fingerprint somebody if they don't have a picture ID? What do you do? What you gonna do after you fingerprint them and their credit card does not go through? Or they give you a credit card and that's not their name on their credit card. Or they give you a credit card, all of a sudden it's their mom's credit card, and she wants to talk to you on the phone and give you a verbal operation. Oh yeah, I'm the mother. You can use that credit card. What you gonna do? For us, you should have some type of policy procedure put in place to get the money first before you start fingerprinting. Okay, this ain't not a restaurant. This is like a takeout. You pay for your food, then we give it to you. Nice, neat in the bag. Service is done, then you leave. Just like fingerprint. We're going to fingerprint you after we get paid. We ain't got no time for those other issues or games they're going to play. Oh, I'll be right back. I left my wallet down the stairs. And they grab the ink cards with them and leave. Don't fall for the hype. Or I ain't got the right change. I'll be right back with the change. You don't trust me? Games like that happen all the time. Don't fall for the hype. All right, then. Another thing for policy and procedure you want to think about is refund policies. Okay? Chargeback procedures. What you're going to do, you fingerprint somebody, you hit the transmit button, and next thing you got charged back. Oh, it wasn't me. I wasn't there. I didn't get fingerprinted at that location. I know nothing about it. Did they send a receipt? Did your receipt have no refunds on it? Did you swipe the credit card, or was it just pinned in? Policies and procedures. After you get a couple of chargeback going, you're going to realize you should put these things into place. Saying you didn't know, you fall for the hype, you fall for the myth. Oh, trust every customer. It's not going to happen. Don't fall for the myth. Don't fall for the hype. These pitfalls will get you in trouble. Following someone else's device, because they have a certain policy there where they pay us after we fingerprint them, may not be a good one for you. Okay? They may begin fingerprinting at a police station. I doubt very soon they're going to try to run out without paying. But the police stations that I know about, they get the money up front too. All right. Policies, procedures. I need a LiveScan done because I'm going to be a physician. And you think, okay, it's a medical LiveScan. Here it is, but it's the wrong one because even though he's going to be a physician at that location requires a different type of LiveScan because he's going to be a teacher at the location teaching physicians. Do your homework. In other words, don't just give out LiveScan forms because you know for sure this is what they need. And you let them know you're not sure, contact the requesting agency for clarification. They may give you some information. You give them the right information, what they said, but it's incorrect for what they need. I have to repeat that again. But you're not knowing it. It's an excuse. Don't fall for those pitfalls. It will get you in trouble. Also, we tell them to contact their requesting agency for clarification for a LiveScan form. Well, where do I get it from? The website they try to get the licensing for, or they contact the requesting agency for clarification. Don't you do all that work. Don't fall for those pitfalls. You do all the work for them. They get their paper. They can walk right out your office, go some other place. You do all the work for them on the phone. They don't even show up there and go some other place. Happened to us 2 weeks ago. All this research because they're going to come to our location right down the street, give them all the things they need to have. They went someplace else. Never saw them. Not even a thank you. Not even a chocolate chip cookie. Don't let me get started. Another pitfall. Well, I got the training done. I saw a YouTube video for 2 minutes how to fingerprint a machine. I got this right here. Well, I bought my machine. They gave me some type of online class for an hour or so. Everything went just great. I know what I'm doing. They can give you just enough to get that LiveScan machine. They can tell you just enough for a quick buck. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you know everything. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you know everything. We will always recommend advanced training for those in the fingerprinting industry, for any industry there. Because once you realize you get that machine, that LiveScan machine, and then you have this conference call where you put the finger in the glass, you go left and right, left, where the case may be. You know, it's good prints. Oh, I got it. Now it's easy. All of a sudden, person shows up to you there with 5 fingers and 3 thumbs and 3 thumbs. They come to you with missing fingers. Or the fingers all crooked like this. You're trying to do a LiveScan. They hand it just like this. You can watch a YouTube video. Please get real. Get proficient. Get proficient. Get proficient. Word will go out there that they go to your location when people have irregular fingerprints, poor ridge characteristics, extra fingers, missing fingers, burnt fingers, crooked fingers, slippery fingers, fingerprints run away. I could go on and on and on. You'll get that reputation when people go to you for that. Now, sometimes you may not like it because sometimes the prints may not come back. They might try to fingerprint them out. What you do is still a bad print. So just because you got a LiveScan machine doesn't mean the prints will go through. That's a common misconception. It's a pitfall. Don't fall for that. You need to practice all the time. Go to sleep with your LiveScan machine next to you, right as the pillow. Dream about the LiveScan. You need to practice fingerprinting all the time. It's a myth thinking because you got a machine, it's going to keep you out of trouble. It's the myth because somebody showed you how the fingerprint on the ink card while they behind a truck real fast, and that's the secret to it. And it's not like that. You need to focus on advanced training situations that may not happen every day, but they're going to happen to get your skills set up and get more money. If you think you don't need it, that's a misconception, and you'll get in trouble. You'll lose business. You do things the wrong way, like, oh my God, I thought the abbreviation for black was B. But they were talking about the color, not the race. And they're putting a B in the B for brown eyes and B for blue hair. Okay, blue hair. Joking, multicolor really. But B for blue eyes and B for brown hair. Right and wrong. So, little nugget right here. When you're doing ink cards, when they ask you for a certain abbreviation, if it's the color, like the eyes over here, it should be 3 characters in that square. If it's a race, for example, black, it should be 1 character on the ink card for race. If it's white, is it WHI, is it WHT, or is it W? You need to know this stuff. And certain states have a certain code. If the person's bald-headed, what do you put down? One state may say BLD. One state may say bald for BLD. One state may say BLD for blonde. What do you do? By not knowing, it's going to get you in trouble. By getting wrong information because somebody told you, hey, all bald abbreviations is BLD. They may be right in their particular state, and you think they're right, but you're in a different state, and you're wrong. So just be careful out there. Don't fall for it. Get the advanced training and take advantage of it to keep you out of trouble. All right. Another misconception, nothing's going to change. I was taught this way how to drive a car. I was taught this way how to fingerprint. Nothing's going to change. I'm good. I got the big old ink pad, the black ink. I'm going to slam the hands down. First, I'm going to roll the ink across the ink pad, slam the hands down, and slam on top of that pad and kick them out of here. For the past 50 years, that's how we've done it. Things change. LiveScan devices change. Back in the days, our LiveScan device we had was, heck, big as a small trash can. A small glass on top of it. Bigger than the monitor behind us. LiveScan device. Technology changes. Software changes. Business too changes. And if you think your mindset, way of doing business that was working 10, 20 years ago is going to work today, and somebody teaching them this is how it worked last year for doing this, It's going to work this year too. It's not true. Things change. Have you heard of AI lately? Been around for a while, but it's changing everything now, especially the fingerprinting industry. Maybe not that fast for you and I to realize what's going on, but it's happening right now. Okay? So it's a big misconception thinking you don't need to know anything else to grow your business and you're already going to lose. Automation is there to stay. It's not going anywhere. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. If you're not using these simple tools, well, I ain't saying simple, these particular services, these tools, as part of your daily operations with fingerprinting, you're not going to survive. And if you miss certain tools, misuse them, your website might get shut down. It might be de-indexed. That's a whole different story, folks. Hey, I promise you at the end of this session here, I got some things to share with you. We're putting together a program, LiveScan Blueprint. It's going to be a 90-day challenge program. If you want more information about it, I'm encourage you to go to livescanuniversity.com. That's the website, livescanuniversity.com. Join the group called LiveScan Cafe, where we're going to put our information there first, most likely tomorrow. It's a pre-launch. This program is 90 days. It's discounted tremendously. For 90 days, have access to us. That's all I'm going to say. It's called LiveScan Blueprint. Go to livescanuniversity.com. Join the free group called LiveScan Cafe. Join the group. They'll be notified first amongst the active members. It's a 90-day challenge to help you start, scale, and take your business to the next level.